The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. Welcome back. We got some good stuff coming up here. The TV is still on in the studio, and I'm just, I gotta walk over there and turn this off in between the break. I can't. How do you watch cable news? Like, how do you do that? It's like bad for your soul. Yeah. People like sit in their house and like turn this up at full volume and just get angry. It's not how I want to spend my life. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at DailyDirtNap. And let's talk about the idea, no matter what, I would say 99% of people think they are underpaid. 99. I don't think that, I think that's the right number. I think 99% of people think they are underpaid. I think maybe 1% of people think they are overpaid. It takes a lot of perspective to think you're overpaid. By the way, you could be making minimum wage and be overpaid. Now, just chew on that concept for a second. But most people think they are underpaid, and we talked about this a few days ago when we talked about how do you get a raise if you think you are underpaid. And the first way to get a raise, is to ask for a raise. You might say, gee, I'm doing a really good job. I am super productive and I'm great at my job and everybody likes me and I should get a raise. But guess what? Your boss is not a mind reader. And frankly, he's not even really paying attention to what you do. You might think, oh, that's his job. His job should be to pay attention to what I do. But that's not really the way he looks at it. His job is to do his job. And he's not super interested in managing you. So you kind of, if you want a raise, you have to ask for a raise. And not only that, you have to point out all the good stuff that you were doing because there's a pretty good chance he hasn't even noticed. And the reason he hasn't noticed is because people are self-absorbed. Like they just pay attention to their own stuff. And they're not interested in you. Nobody's interested in you. Nobody's interested in me. I go through life and nobody cares about me. Once you realize that, it's a very freeing experience. You could like walk down the street naked and nobody would even notice. They might notice with me. The other thing is, the other way to get a raise is to get your boss to like you. And the way you get your boss to like you is to make friends with him or her. Like be a friendly person, like go out to lunch, go out to dinner, like go golfing, do this, do that. And you might say, well, that's brown nosing. I'm not kissing anybody's butt. I'm not brown nosing. Well, you know what? Okay, so you get to be your authentic self and you refuse to play the game, so you get to be authentic, and guess what? You don't get a raise. So what is more important, getting to be authentic or getting a raise? So that's what we talked about a few days ago about getting a raise. But aside from that, if you make friends with your boss and you do a good job and you ask for a raise and you do all this stuff and the answer is no, what do? And the answer is you find a different job. That's what you do. So it's Wall Street story time, boys and girls. And, in my days on Wall Street, it's generally accepted, everybody knew this, that if you really wanted to get paid on Wall Street, you couldn't do it passively. You could doing a good job, making a lot of money doesn't do it. Isn't that strange? Like you're a trader at a bank and you make $90 million a year for the firm and you say, great, I should get paid a whole ton of money. No, they don't pay you. They don't. The only way you get paid is if you threaten to leave. And then they say, oh, wait a minute. And that's literally the only way. I'll tell you a great story. This is an amazing story. It's my favorite story from Wall Street. So I'm at Lehman Brothers, and I was in equities, which is the stocks division. And in the bonds division, which they call fixed income, in the bonds division, there was this young kid, and I'll make up a name for him. We'll say his name is Jay Knight. And Jay Knight is he's a salesman in interest rates, treasury bonds. And he's 24 years old, and he went to Harvard, so he's a smart guy. And he's basically apprenticing under this old salesman, this bond salesman. And basically the old bond salesman taught him everything he knew and gave him all his accounts. So at age 24, he's got a lot of responsibility. He's got all these accounts. And he raises his hand and says, I want to trade. I want to trade. So they let him trade 2-year notes. And 2-year notes are not hard to trade. They're not that risky. The most that you can make as a 2-year note trader in a given year was maybe like $4 million. So after a year of trading the 2-year note, he makes $20 million. Now, I just told you that the most that you should be able to make is $4 million, and he made $20 million. So he goes in to ask for his bonus, and they said, how the hell did you make $20 million? And he's like, well, I was doing some other trades on the side and this and that. And they said, well, we don't want you to do that anymore. We want you to just trade the 2-year note. And he said, okay, I quit. And he walked out. And they chased after him. They said, oh, wait a minute. Wait. Let's figure this out. Come on. Let's not be hasty. And he says, I want to trade basically it's proprietary trading, just trading for your own account. He says, I want to do that full time. And they didn't want to let him do it because he was only 24 years old. So basically they gave him a supervisor, and the supervisor didn't know what the hell the kid was doing. So the next year he comes back and he's made $60 million. And they're like, good job, Jay Knight. And Jay Knight says, okay, I want to trade from Miami. And they said, bah, that's preposterous. We can't let you trade from Miami. Nobody's done this before. That's impossible. He says, okay, I quit. And he walks out. And once again, they chased after him and they said, whoa, wait a minute. Wait, we can work something out. And he says, furthermore, I want 15% of the profits. 15% of the profits. So this is the deal that they did. So he moves down to Miami. And the next year he makes $80 million. And he comes back to New York every once in a while, and you would see him walking around the firm in like a Don Johnson, like white suit with like no socks, like smoking and joking, like talking to people. And that year he made $80 million. And since he's making 15% of the profits, get this, he made $12 million for himself. Now he's 27 years old. He's single. He's living in Miami, and he's making $12 million a year. Fast forward all the way to 2008, he's making $300 million a year. No, actually more, like $500 million a year for the firm, and he made $80 million a year for himself on that 15% deal. Yeah. True story. Then he basically was retired for like 10 years, and he just popped up. He's trading again. But, I mean, obviously he was a very gifted trader. He was very good at what he did. But the genius of Jay Knight, which is really unrecognized and underappreciated, it's not so much that he was really good at trading. That really wasn't the genius of it. The genius of it was at age 24, he felt sure of himself enough that he didn't just threaten to walk out. He walked out. He said, I'm leaving. And that was his negotiating tactic. It was that negotiation that got him in Miami. It was that negotiation that got him the 15% deal, which was unheard of on Wall Street. And yeah, he made money every year. He made a ton of money. He was good at what he did. He was smart. But it was that negotiation that was incredible. So, when I think about, my time, like I was not the guy. I was not the guy that threatened to leave. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't make as much money as Jay Knight, but I came close. And I was like the loyal guy. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's a bad move. I'm not doing that. So, I didn't get paid. I certainly didn't get paid $80 million a year. So really it all comes down to negotiation. And if you want to get paid more, what I suggest you do is find a different job, apply for that job that pays more, and go back to your old job and say, I quit. And if you were really good at what you did, if they wanted to keep you, they would make a deal. They would say, okay, you can have more money, and they would keep you. And if they can't keep you, then go to the other job. That kind of stuff happens all the time. But a lot of people are unwilling to do that on their own behalf because it's scary. It's really, really scary to walk away. It's not just the job. It's the community of people. It's all your friends. You're going to blow this whole thing up so you can get more money. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. Now, if you want more money, I just told you what to do. It's all about negotiation. And a lot of negotiation is, this is the secret of negotiation. At least for me, this is what works for me. If people are not behaving the way I want them to, generally what I do is I raise everybody's stress level. And usually the performance goes up. And then I get what I want. I raise everybody's stress level. I did that in the Coast Guard, and I did that at Lehman Brothers. So people generally, you're not going to get what you want until you negotiate hard. And that's the thing. Morally speaking, this is like from a moral standpoint. If you were the boss, what should you pay an employee? What should you pay an employee? And the answer is the minimum amount that gets them not to leave. That's how much somebody should be paid. So if somebody's willing to work for $9 an hour, then it's totally fair to pay them $9 an hour. If they wanted more money, if they wanted $12 an hour, they would leave and go to a job that paid $12 an hour. There's more on this in just a few seconds. I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Own your money. Own your life.